Hello, my name is Samantha Jones, and today I would like to talk to you about the effects of growth promoters on carcass composition and meat tenderness. What we know about growth promoters. With the aid of growth promoters, we can produce cattle that have a greater potential for more muscling. Implanted livestock reach preferred slaughter conditions much faster than those animals not implanted. What we know continued. Another benefit of these growth promoters is that producers are able to produce more animals with fewer resources. Implants and growth promoters aid the industry in the reduction of production costs. This allows more money to remain with our producers, which increases their next year's production potential. Some questions we'd like to address. What are some common growth promoters used in the industry today? What are the effects of adding these growth promoters to our commercial livestock? Is the palatability altered in any way by the addition of these growth promoters? And what is the consumer's overall response? Growth promoters used in studies we will be discussing. Revlar XS is an anabolic steroid approved for use in U.S. feedlots. It contains 200 milligrams of trebolone acetate and 40 milligrams of estradiol. Revlar IS and a second implant, Revlar S, is also an anabolic steroid approved for use in feedlot cattle. It contains 80 milligrams, the first dose 80 milligrams of trebolone acetate and 16 milligrams of estradiol on the day 1. This is followed by a second implant of Revlar S, which contains 120 milligrams of trebolone acetate and 24 milligrams of estradiol. Growth promoters continued. Beta-adrenic agonists, such as ractopamine hydrochloride, which is a Category 1 beta-adrenic agonist. It improves growth performance and affects carcass characteristics in several livestock species through increased protein synthesis. Zilpaterol hydrochloride is a Category 2 beta-adrenic agonist, which functions through the increased protein synthesis and decreases protein degradation. Growth promoters on carcass composition. A study conducted by Colorado State University confirmed that yearling steers and heifers implanted with growth-promoting hormones were more heavily muscled and reached the desired level of muscling much quicker than those animals who had not been implanted. These growth implants and enhancements allow these animals to reach their production potential while limiting the cost to do so. Muscling and carcass leanness is increased without the price being hiked. Carcass composition continued. Steers and heifers had increased daily gains through the use of growth hormones, such as ractopamine hydrochloride, during the finishing period of the production cycle. This same report also acknowledged that a second implant given between 63 and 28 days prior to slaughter encouraged an even greater increase on average daily gain. We want muscle and we want efficiency, but what are the costs to get them? Research from the University of Illinois showed that cattle with less than 1/4 influence from Brahma treated with growth promoters showed a decrease in marbling scores and meat tenderness. This resulted when livestock were treated with beta-adrenic agonists such as ractopamine hydrochloride and zilpaterol hydrochloride. Further research from a study conducted by Colorado State University revealed that as the level of growth hormone per dose increases, a decrease in meat tenderness was reported in steer carcasses. This may be tough to chew, literally. A study conducted by Colorado State University discussed the occurrence of Holstein steers failing to meet Warrens-Bratzler shear force requirements to be certified tender, and was shown to be more prevalent as the dose of growth promoters ingested are increased. The use of growth promoters causes the meat to be more tough and less palatable, which is why the research on this topic continues. We have also come to realize that higher doses of growth promoters should be discouraged, because they only increase meat toughness as well. These negatives do plateau, however. Although the steers in the Colorado State University study were fed ractopamine hydrochloride 200 milligrams and scored lower during the taste test panel, no difference in tenderness was observed by civilian panelists when comparing the 200 milligram dose of ractopamine hydrochloride and the 400 milligram dose. Detectable differences between closely related doses were minimal in this study. Use of aging in meat. Research conducted at Colorado State University in 2010 revealed that choice and select steaks aged for 21 days displayed no differences in palatability between implanted and non-implanted steers. Poor palatability can be addressed by simply aging meat for a period of 21 days or longer to allow this meat to become more tender. The consumer response. Consumers in sensory panel from Texas Tech University preferred the flavor of steaks from the controlled group and steers implanted with Revlar IS and Revlar S compared to steers implanted with simply Revlar XS. Revlar XS contains 200 milligrams of trebolone acetate and 40 milligrams of estradiol, whereas Revlar IS with an additional implant of Revlar S contains a total amount of 200 milligrams of trebolone acetate and 40 milligrams of estradiol released in 2 implant strategies. Implants with lower concentrations of growth hormone tend to produce the more desirable results. Consumers' response continued. The Texas Tech University study had participants sampling steaks of both animals who had been exposed to implants with growth promoters and those animals who had not been implanted. Participants seemed to prefer steaks that had been aged for a period of longer than 14 days. These results agreed with 2 studies previously mentioned that showed consumers prefer carcasses implanted with growth promoters consisting of lower concentrations. Consumers also prefer implanted carcasses to be aged in this study longer than 14 to 21 days, and would probably be best. Even though aging the meat does help, consumers continually prefer the taste of meat derived from non-enhanced carcasses compared to those carcasses that have been enhanced. Review. Growth promoters increase production efficiency and produce heavily muscled carcasses. High doses of growth promoters increase the probability that meat will be tough. It is recommended that when using implants, producers should use promoters that have the lowest concentrations of hormones to decrease meat toughness. Along with using lower concentrations, producers should consider spreading the dose out into a 2-implant system. Implanting animals first with a lower dose followed by an increased dose sometime later. This will aid in preventing the toughening of meat. Properly aging meat can combat toughness and palatability issues, making the eating experience more enjoyable. Works cited that were used in this PowerPoint. Works cited continue.